The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. As we are calling for unity, our leaders are also joining us to call for unity. The president of Namibia, Nandi Ndaitwah, powerful speech, and this speech, she exposes a lot of things that we are not aware of. She talked about the West Africa. She talked about what is happening around the world, about peace and how they are standing for peace, and how they are fighting to make Namibia better and the people that we need to partner with in order to get us to the destination that we are looking for, and calling for African unity, because that when we are divided, we are easily conquered. But the moment we come together as a people and we unite, we'll be able to go far, like this trade war that we are seeing all over the world, which is affecting everybody in Africa, because we all received our share of the tariff. We gave a history and even the independence of Namibia, how Africans were not happy.
Now, I'm sure you've received a lot of questions about the fact that you are one and two of the female presidents in our continent, but I wouldn't want to waste your time on that, Madam President. I want us to look at geopolitics. I'm sure you have seen that there's been a lot of turbulence within the geopolitics space. Now, I want to find out from you, where do you see Namibia's place amid these changes in the global order?
First, Namibia is part and parcel of the global village. We are part of the international community, and definitely we must find space because we are part of the system. Of course, it's unfortunate that we are in this era where multilateralism is under threat, and Namibia, we strongly believe on multilateralism because we know it does bring solidarity, and it's solidarity that brings us here. But I have to make it very clear that for Namibia in the international arena, we don't just take sides for the sake of taking sides. When we are taking our position, we take side for peace, we take side for fairness, we take side for integrity, and we take side for true partnership that will benefit the cities of the world in general and the people of Namibia in particular. And that is the position we see ourselves occupying in the world global political and economic system.
You were recently in South Africa at the 2025 Liberation Movement Summit, and there you said statements along the lines of how African countries need to unite. And I want to quote you verbatim, Madam President. You said, evil calls for regime change by some foreign forces. Could you elaborate on what you meant by that?
Yes, I will elaborate. I have referred to Namibia being a beneficiary for multilateralism. Namibia finding ourselves where we are because of true international solidarity. And this is taking me back to our history of the liberation struggle. While we were fighting the most racist colonial regime, apartheid colonial regime of South Africa, there were those who were sympathetic to the regime that was oppressing us. And even when we finally got our independence, there are those who are unhappy. There are those who are trying to find a way how they can dictate and influence how we can manage our countries, particularly those of us who fought for our independence. And we are seeing a trend which is targeting former liberation movements, particularly in Southern Africa, You know, during our struggle, the Southern African countries in particularly, who got independence before us, they worked as a team to the extent that they even organized themselves to what used to be called the frontline states, and Nigeria also came on board. And when we got our independence, this grouping did not disappear. Today, they are in a very strong organization, which is now for economic integration, the SADC. But we realized in the process, there has been really an onslaught on the former liberation movement. On those who are on the side of the liberation movement, we see them in countries around us. And currently, you can talk about MPLA in Angola. You talk about ZANU-PF in Zimbabwe. You talk about ANC in South Africa, Frelimo in Mozambique, and SWAPO Party in Namibia. And these are really thorny in the eyes of those who do not want us to keep our history alive and to work in the best interest of our people. And you are seeing that now and then there is some interference coming in. When we were having our elections last year, I have not seen any elections where there was such great interest by the media, including the international media. One of them has even to be has the audacity to say that if Netumbo takes over in Namibia, there's a danger because she has a mentality of liberation.
Is this Western media, Your Excellency?
There is a media that made that statement. There is a media that says that I have a mentality of liberation, and if I take over, it is not going to be good. Of course, I counterattack. I say, Namibians want to be independent. And that is why then I must be the right candidate. Because I fought for the independence of this country politically, and what I wanted now is the economic independence of Namibia. So, and this is really the situation, and that's why I made that statement.
Speaking about colonialism, it has left deep scars in the African continent, and in the process of reclaiming the identity of this continent, we've seen some African states showing Western countries the exit, the boot, if you may, in the sense of foreign military presence. What do you think of this particular trend, Madam President?
You see, every country can assess their own situation and decide on the strategy they can make for, or the move they will make for their countries to advance. Because if the alignment which is there, the alliance which is there, they found that it's no longer serving the purpose, definitely there's no way, when you have a target, when you have a vision, and you realize that remaining where I am, it will not enable me to achieve my mission, my vision. So therefore, you have to make a strategic move, and each one will be based on specific situation. And that's why some of those countries, they have to move on that direction, because I believe they have made the right analysis and they find that it's the right way to go, because you cannot just keep yourself at the same position if you are having the same results, particularly when it comes to the development of the country.
This year, Namibia has had its first commemoration of the German colonial era genocide. However, Berlin hasn't yet offered official reparations. Now, I want to find out from you, Madam President, are you satisfied, and perhaps are there any demands on the side of Namibia?
Sometimes back, a motion was passed in our parliament. It was introduced in our parliament, and it was passed. And the motion was asking that as a country, we need a day for remembrance, to remember Namibians who have died as a result of the genocide. The motion was sent to government for the government to look into history and to find the right date where we can come together as a nation and remember the Namibians who perished because of genocide. The government sent the motion back to Parliament saying, you are the representative of the people. Let the Parliament work on the matter and make a recommendation to the government. So then the Parliament came back and said a consensus has been reached that the 28th May should be put aside to be a day in which we remember our people who died as a result of genocide. So this year, we remembered them in a special manner for the first time. We were not celebrating genocide. We were remembering our people who died as a result of genocide.
Thank you, Madam President. So Namibia has been a very strong supporter of Palestinians who are going through genocide. And so when you heard the news of this ceasefire agreement, what was your reaction, Madam President? And do you think it's really going to hold?
Over the years, we have been always on the part of the people of Palestine. Every time we have been supporting them, and we will continue to support them. So, and from the time when the Israel attacked Gaza, we pronounced ourselves, to the extent that we even joined South Africa when they took this matter to the court, where now even finally the UN itself has recognized that what is happening in Gaza is really a genocide, which is so sad. In this century, no one really expected that something like that can happen. We should always encourage that international dispute must be solved through negotiation. So at least we have some relief. They are talking about a negotiation, and we are really hoping that they should reach an agreement that will protect the people of Palestine. We believe in the two states. We believe that's the only solution to the problem of Palestine and Israel. Otherwise, it will keep going and coming back. And this is what we don't want. So we are hopeful, because that's what we've been calling for.
Do you think anyone is ever going to be held responsible, Madam President, for that genocide?
I wish the international community is strong enough to do that, because to hold someone responsible in a crime of that nature in this century, it really needs the international community coming together and agree and take the appropriate action in accordance to the international conventions and norms.
Moving right along, let's go to the United States of America. The president there has shaken the entire world with what some call a trade war. Namibia is not exempt from these sweeping tariffs. How do you think Namibia should be handling these? Or perhaps, let me say, do you have any plans on how to tackle these tariffs?
You know, it's a difficult time. It came unexpectedly, but difficult times can also make one to think out of the box. And particularly we in the South who are affected by this. And it came at the right time when Africa has just adopted the Africa Continental Free Trade Area that is encouraging Africans to trade among themselves. So we really are at an advantage position that we must now, as African, really to be serious, have a discussion among ourselves, and see how we can overcome what we are seeing, what we are experiencing economically. It might take some diver somewhere, but it's also good so that you can pick up. So that is really what I can say. We just, because you don't know when is the next move, how it's going to impact you. So, and that's why I say that it's important for Africa, because what we are seeing now is that international trade rules, they seems to be of no value. And we need now to strengthen ours as African, and then identify our true partners that we can work with.
Speaking about the true partners that you can work with, Russia and Namibia have been strengthening ties lately, Madam President, particularly in the economic and energy sector. I want to find out from you, how do you think these bilateral developments can continue to be furthered, so to speak?
Yes, Russia and Namibia, Russian people and Namibian people, we have a long history together. And it's a history that is based in true partnership. It's a history that's based in solidarity. And it's a history that comes with what one did not even expect. Came with blood, I can say that. When we were fighting in the jungles of Angola there, the Russians were with us through the Soviet Union. When we needed really to face the strongest army in the African continent then, the South African Apartheid Army, the Russians were there. They came to our aid. And even after independence, we continued. And up to now, we will continue. And we have been cooperating politically. You remember when we were having the negotiations related that led to Namibia's independence? Russia, Soviet Union was one of the countries that was really behind us, and even cautioning us as we are engaging the West, because when they finally realized that they are now reaching a point of no return, that's why they came in, and then the resolution 435 and all these things. But we remain with the Soviet Union. So we are now in the economic war. And the trust that we had for the political struggle is the same trust that we have in this economic war, which we are facing. And we will continue to strengthen cooperation between Namibia and Russia in so many sectors of the economy. Namibia is a mineral-based country. Russia have the technology. We are here talking about industrialization, where you need the energy. We have the resources, but we need technology. So we have to turn to friendly countries where we can make use of our resources to develop our country.
We have learned a lot about what is happening around us, and it is this our disunity that people are capitalizing on to always thrive, because when one country do not allow itself to be used, other countries will be used. So the African is always divided, and it is this our internal division that these people are thriving on. They always go to their summit to talk about how we need to unite, but at the end of the day, they are not doing what is expected of them, because until we are able to do away with these borders, live together under one umbrella, one leadership, one army, we can never defeat these people, because they are coming together in a unified force. And this is what is keeping us backward. Majority of us don't understand the reason to which we love Russia so much. But as she said, even when we're fighting for our own independence, Russia was with us. And Russia is still with us. Russia is not a nation that comes into Africa to determine what we should be doing like other people, imposing their way of life, giving us sanctions for not accepting what they want. There is always a win-win partnership deal with them. And these are people who are always coming into the continent to make sure that we are equipped. Like she said, we have resources and we don't have the know-how. So it's like barter trading. Unlike these ones that do not want to give us the know-how, and all they do is to come in for the resources, claiming ownership over the resources. So we need to understand things this way, that Russia has never been a nation that rules against us. Even as we have our own people rising against us, Russia has always defended us. And we need to go back to history to know the reason to which Russia is a nation that whenever we are in trouble, we always run to. So we ourselves need to unite under one umbrella. There are other people who are of the view that the African can never unite, so we need to fight in our respective countries so that we collectively can be free. But no, until we get a leader who will head all Africa, we can never be free, because if we continue to be fighting in our individual countries, we can never unite as a people. Unity is all that we are asking for, and it is the unity that will set the African free. And this is what we are calling for. And what we are calling for, we might not see it today. It might happen years to come. That is why the West are always ahead of us, because they plan ahead of themselves. Unlike us that are thinking of what I'll eat today, what I'll eat tomorrow, and not think about what I'll leave behind for the next decade for my children, or what my plans will be for the next generation. This is what Africans we are lacking, and we have to start working towards that so that collectively the African can be free. We should have a long-term plan and a goal that we all are working towards to make it a success. Africa will be free, and we want this kind of things to continue to come out so that we can learn as the youth to continue the fight until the African is liberated. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. So that's the latest around the world in Africa, Southern Africa, and in Namibia.